How does physician-assisted suicide impact American culture? Angie Costa.
Bailey Adams.
Alec Lee. So our thesis is the option of physician-assisted suicide should be granted to all terminally ill patients as a way of taking control of their life.
Our claim for this topic is physician-assisted suicide will provide America with better health research, financial stability for those who are terminally ill and their family, and will give others who are suffering extra body parts and organs.
Our lenses are scientific, economic, social, and cultural, and ethical.
Our first lens is scientific, and 57% of all American doctors believe that physician-assisted suicide should be an option for terminally ill patients. The reason that the doctor's opinions matter so much when arguing within the medical field is because they're the ones who are performing the procedure. Without them, the procedure could not happen, and it would be deemed as unethical, as Alec will go into later with his presentation. And some believe that the Hippocratic Oath is being violated when doctors go through with this, but as seen as they're trying to do their best for the patient, and sometimes the best is dying. And we'll go further with this. So some patients get the prescription as seen in the orange, but many do not use them, which is seen with blue. And this is very important just because having the option gives patients a lot more leeway and control over their life.
We'll now be taking a look at this through the economic lens. The option of assisted suicide affects us not only scientifically, but economically as well, especially from the following perspectives: doctors, patients, and family. However, I'd like to take a look through the patient perspective the most. As type 1 diabetic myself, it is unfortunately clear to see how expensive this terminal disease may be. For those of who live their daily lives in need of financial support, it is much worse. For example, a test strip is $1, one test meter is approximately $50, one vial of insulin is $270, and one insulin pen, a shot, is $400, and one insulin pump is $6,000. For a diabetic, they are expected to test their blood sugar at least 6 times a day using those test strips. So that is at least $6 a day for a diabetic. Use at least one vial of insulin a week and deliver that insulin either through a pump or insulin pen, of which are injection mechanisms. A device smaller than your phone costs more than the newest iPhone, actually 6 times more than the newest iPhone. Because of this, me and my colleagues propose that using death with dignity should be an option, not only to stabilize their finances, but their family's finances as well. The dose of secobarbital, a brand name Seconal, prescribed under death with dignity laws, costs $3,000 to $5,000. However, cancer treatments cost $30,000. Put that into perspective. As you can see, on these slides, there is a picture. The left one is a small pill of secobarbital, and the right one is a cancer patient going through treatment. Notice the look of pain shown on her face and the sheer amount of medicinal syringes being used for a treatment that potentially may not even work. If a patient isn't seeing results from their treatment, why make them suffer instead of letting them use death with dignity to their advantage? After all, isn't it one of the major responsibilities for a doctor to help their patients and their suffering? At any given moment, approximately 118,000 Americans are awaiting the gift of an organ or body tissue from someone who has died. These organs or body tissues cost a lot of money. However, if those who go through death with dignity donate them, they'll be able to help those who need the care too.
Alright, so I've got the cultural and social lens for this issue. And society's focus at the end of the life should be on the efforts to address suffering and the needs of patients and families, including improving access to effective hospice and palliative care. So I am going to be talking about the perspectives from doctors, patients, and families. So, as mentioned previously by Bailey, the Hippocratic Oath has been around for 2,000 years, dating back to the ancient Greeks. And the Hippocratic Oath basically states that you should try to do everything you can in order to help the patient. So PAS could help the patient if it means ending their suffering. Family have 2 different perspectives on this, where they feel that they did their best versus they did everything they could, and giving them the best choice that they wanted, versus families who feel guilty and mourn because they don't believe that it was probably the best choice. but it also in the end can sway with money because, as previously stated by Angie as well, money can be an issue if they're having to stay in the hospital, which gets really expensive, and the PAS could lower those expensive costs of hospital bills. And patients, terminal illnesses could lead to the decision of this, but if you have like a mental illness, it's probably not the best idea to follow through with PAS, but if you've got something like cancer or something, ending it could be the best way to go if it's something you cannot come back from. Also, religious beliefs can be against it because religions such as Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, it's heavily frowned upon, and they could be shunned basically for their religious beliefs if they go through with this. So here we see among Americans that here most of them agree, and for beliefs like Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, that it is heavily disagreed. And then this is a chart from 2015 where it shows in the darker blue that these are the states that legalized PAS, and in the light blue, it's where it's introduced. And then this is from 2018, where in the Navy, it's legalized, and then here it's like introduced more. And in like the peachy orange colored one, it's they have no in their legalization or they're considering it.
So I will be looking at PAS through the ethical lens. I do not know what I would do if you were dying in prolonged and excruciating pain. I am certain, however, that it would be a comfort to be able to consider the options afforded by this bill, and I wouldn't deny that right to others, is what Governor Jerry Brown said in 2015 when California legalized physician-assisted suicide. So my perspectives are the patient, the family, and the physician. So the patient that I've chosen to focus on is Thomas Yook, who had a neurodegenerative illness and asked his physician, Jed Kevorkian, to administer physician-assisted suicide on him because of how much pain he was in because of his illness. However, because the state that he lived in, it was not legalized when his physician administered the PAS drugs to him. He was unfortunately apprehended and had to go through an entire, he had to go through the court system, sorry. So the family perspective is, allowing a patient to undergo physician-assisted suicide can give family closure. As it says here, it's a more benign impact upon family members, meaning that it allows the family to get closure, and it's less than if a patient would administer suicide on themselves. However sad that may be, it's true that allowing a patient to pick the time allows family to be there for them. The last perspective is a physician, and as Bailey has stated earlier, 57% of American physicians agree that it's a good option for patients. Even having the option of physician-assisted suicide allows patients to be more comforted that they have an option and a way of ending their suffering. As you can see by this graph at the end, this is 2015, which shows that up to 56% of doctors agree that physician-assisted suicide is morally acceptable, and this, has been a trend across the years that it's more morally acceptable than it is unacceptable.
Now I'll take a look at the solutions and limitations. Because assisted suicide is available to patients in some states, heavy limitations have been made on the procedure, such as their age, mental stability, and illness severity. These rules are being used in traveling clinics made just for assisted suicide and will travel any distance to help these patients. Lastly, that leads into our overarching solution. That is for the patient for people with or without terminal illnesses to donate their bodies or organs to science in order to help those with terminal illnesses. These doctors and scientists will find cures for these illnesses as well as use the testing/studying of the organs of the ill to influence their research and finding these cures. However, heavy limitations have been set on those solutions, such as assisted suicide is only legal in 6 states as of right now. Donating the bodies may not find cures right away and will take a lot of time, and the Hippocratic Oath, as stated by Bailey earlier.
Here's our work site.
Okay, a few questions. Alec, I'm going to start with you first. What do you think was the strongest counter argument to the solution or conclusion your team identified, and why?
I felt like ours was the Hippocratic Oath because that was something that we had talked about a lot because we had said that it was both a solution and a limitation because the Hippocratic Oath states that you are not to harm the patient, and it's up for debate for many physicians and patients and even government workers to decide whether that means that physician-assisted suicide shouldn't be allowed because you essentially be killing the patient or allowing them the option because they would be in pain otherwise.
Okay, thank you. Lexi, describe an argument from one of your peers' individual reports that made you think differently about your team's solution or conclusion.
One of the counter arguments that someone came up with was not being able to have cures for certain diseases, like Angie said, where it's cancer. There are no really known cures, so it's kind of hard to come back from that. So if they are not being able to come back from cancer, they could choose to go with the position of PAS.
Okay. Angie, in the future, what change would you make to your group norms, and how would you expect that to improve the team presentation?
In the future, I feel like we need to collaborate more in person. Not that we didn't do that, but I feel like it should have happened more often so that way we could rehearse together and make sure everything flowed well. And seeing the slides sometimes messed up, so I feel like we should have coordinated that better.
Okay, and then finally, Bailey, how did the group decide to include Alec's perspective or lens or conclusion into the overall presentation?
So Alex went hand in hand with mine because scientific and ethical, that's the whole argument with the doctors. And also we decided the ethics really went into the morals and the whole reason why people disagree with it, and including Alex whole entire idea of it being morally acceptable helped push our solution to be the best option.
Okay, thank you.